Finally, the easiest, the simplest, and the fastest video breaking down all the pricing, rules, and payout structures for my funded futures is right here. As someone who has used MFF for a couple years now and gotten multiple payouts from them, I'm going to be breaking down everything that is important to you as a trader, as well as give you my personal recommendations based off of my own experience and my opinions. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into this. Now, the first thing that you need to know are the three account types that MFF has: the core, the scale, and the pro. Each of them have their own pricing, rules, and payout structures, so we'll be breaking that down in a second. Starting off with the core accounts, so I'm going to be talking about the evaluation phase. So to start things off, the core accounts are the only account tier that only have a 50K option available. The scale and the pro accounts, which we'll get into in a second, they have 100K and 150K options available. However, that is not the case for core accounts. These are by far the cheapest account tier compared to the other tiers, as well as many other firms. It's very tough to beat $77 per month starting off with a evaluation account. And especially right now, MFF is doing a promo for new users only. You get 50% off of your evaluation costs, and there's no activation fee for any of these accounts. So basically, a core 50K account would come out to like $38. So I don't like using the word impossible, but like that's very hard to beat. And especially for a reputable firm like MFF, 30 something bucks for a 50K eval, that's insanely good. So keep that in mind. Moving on, very standard profit target and max loss guidelines: $3,000 for the profit target in order to pass the account, and max drawdown is $2,000. So if you lose $2,000 total, you will blow the account. For the core accounts as well as the other tiers, all accounts have end of day drawdown. None of them are trailing. So that's another reason why a lot of people like MFF. Next up, there's a 50% consistency rule. So once again, the profit target in order to pass this account is $3,000. And the consistency rule in the evaluation phase means that the most you can make in a day is $1,500, which is 50% of the total profit target. If you are trying to pass these accounts as quickly as possible, make $1,500 on day one and $1,500 on day two. There's no activation fee, so the $77 upfront, which once again is like 30 something bucks right now with a promo. So there's no activation fee. There are no charges or anything that you have to pay. Once you pass the account, that's it. You are officially a funded trader, and you don't have to pay anything else. For the core accounts, you can trade up to 5 funded accounts. They recently changed this from 3 accounts now up to 5, so that's another reason that I am a fan of them. And I think it goes without saying, these accounts are the best for beginners in terms of price, as well as the rules, as well as the guidelines. Everything is very beginner friendly and standard. Like I said, there's no hidden rules, there's no tricks up their sleeve. Very straightforward. So if you are a beginner, or if you're just trying to try out a new firm and feel them out for a bit, core accounts are solid. So that takes care of the evaluation phase for the core accounts. Moving on to the funded phase of the core accounts. So in order to request your payout, you need to have at least 5 total days of $100 or more in profit. These days do not have to be consecutive. You just need 5 total days where you make at least $100 in profit on each account, then you'll be able to take a payout. Also, you need to know that the max payout per account is $1,000. So for example, if you are copy trading 5 accounts at once, that means that you can take out $1,000 per account per payout. So you can take out a max payout of $5,000. Once again, split up into 1K per account. Once again, you can have up to 5 funded accounts at once, and you are allowed to trade the news. Moving on to the next account tier, which are the scale accounts. This again is for the evaluation phase. So like I mentioned previously, the scale and the pro accounts have multiple account sizes available. For the scale account specifically, you got the 50K, 100K, and 150K. For the eval phase, once again, there is a 50% consistency rule. So if you look at the profit targets down here, 3K for the 50K, 6K for the 100K, and 9K for the 150K. The fastest you can pass these accounts is in 2 days, where you make 50% of the profit target per day. Once again, there's no activation fee for any of these accounts, which is huge. Now for the 50K scale accounts only, you can trade up to 5 of them at once. If you want to use the 100Ks or 150Ks, you can have only up to 3. If you are newer or still trying to get the hang of things and try to get consistent payouts, I would suggest sticking with the 50K. However, if you are more experienced and have more confidence in yourself than the average Joe, I think then you're good to go up to the larger account sizes. But like I said, most people, I think 50K accounts, that's perfectly fine. That will give you plenty of leverage and plenty of room to make a bunch of money from them. So that's good to know, as well as the maximum position sizing, as you can see at the bottom. 3 minis or 30 micros for the 50K, 6 minis or 60 micros for the 100K, or 9 minis and 90 micros for the 150K. Like I said before, very standard, very simple and straightforward. So Moving on to the funded phase. For the funded phase of these scale accounts, once again, you need a minimum of 5 trading days till payout, and the minimum amount that you need to make on each of those winning days are listed below. So for the 50K accounts, it is $100 per day, $200 for the 100K, or $300 per day in profit on the 150K accounts. The minimum payout for all 3 account sizes is the same at $250, and once again, news trading is allowed. Now, the reason why these accounts are called scale accounts is very self-explanatory, because the payout sizes scale up as you go. Like I mentioned, the minimum payout is $250. However, the max payout will depend on the account size as well as what number payout you are on. So if you are on 5 50K scale accounts, the very first payout that you can take is 5 accounts times $1,500. So that is a total of $7,500. If you are trading 100Ks, then the maximum number of accounts that you can have is 3, which means $3,000 times 3 accounts means $9,000 for your max payout. And same thing for the 150K. So whatever 3 times $4,500 is, that is how much your maximum payout is for the first payout. From then on in the future, as you get more payouts, as you can see, the max payout caps get increased as you go. So $1,500, $1,750, $2K, $25, and $3,500 for payout number 5 on the 50Ks, and so on and so forth. In my opinion, for the price that you pay for these scale accounts, they are a perfect sweet spot in between the core accounts as well as the pro accounts. If you are more experienced and you've gotten payouts before, however, you're still, trying to get the best bang for your buck, in my opinion, these scale accounts are the way to go. Moving on to the pro accounts for the eval phase, once again, 50, 100, 150K account sizes. Now, of course, they are the most expensive option. However, if you are experienced and you know that you are able to get payouts and you're confident in your ability, you have a lot of options when it comes to the pro accounts. So first of all, starting off with the eval rules, once again, end of day drawdown, 50% consistency. That's basically, you're seeing a theme here. It's the same exact thing for all the account tiers, so that keeps it simple. Same thing with the profit targets, the max drawdowns. Basically, everything is the same for no matter if you are on a pro or a scale account. All these numbers, they do not change. So once again, 3K profit target and 2K max drawdown for the 50K, 6K compared to 3K for the 100K, and 9K compared to 4.5K for the 150. Some firms have different profit targets and max drawdowns depending on like the account tier or the account size, but they keep it completely the same straight across the board at MFF. So I'm a big fan of that. Keeps it simple and you never get really confused or like mix things up. So that helps in my opinion. Moving on to the funded portion, like I've said, more expensive, but that is for a reason. Starting off from the top of these funded rules, there is no daily loss limit. Up for the max position, 5 contracts for the 50K, 10 for the 100, and 15 for the 150. Once again, there is no consistency rule on any of these account sizes. And right off the rip, there is no scaling rule, which means that you can use the maximum position size as soon as you get onto the funded account. Now, where it says time-based for the payout rules, this means that all you need to do is trade for 14 days, then you are able to take a payout. There is no consistency rule. There is a minimum payout of 1K for each account. That does not change for any of the account sizes. But like I said, the only thing that you have to worry about is just trading for 14 separate days, then you're able to take a payout. Now, for every account size for the pro accounts, your maximum payout is $100,000 for the 50, 100, and the 150K accounts. And as you can see here, each of them have a slightly different payout buffer requirement. So for the 50K account, you need to have at least $2,100 in buffer before you can take a payout, $3,100 and $4,600 for the larger account sizes. And then once you take that first payout, your maximum loss limit moves up to 50.1K and remains static. What that means is that as long as you keep your account balance above 50.1K on the 50K, your account will still be alive and you will not blow it. Same thing for the 100K, you have to keep your balance above $100,000 and $100, or $150,000 and $100 for the 150K. After you take that first payout, that's the only thing that you have to worry about. Just keeping your balance above those numbers and you're fine. Now to wrap all this up, core accounts, like I said before, they are by far the best accounts for beginners. Cheapest, simplest, and fast payouts. Yes, you are limited in terms of the payout caps. However, if you're just getting your feet wet or if you're just trying to build up your confidence, stack up a few payouts with a few accounts that you're copy trading for the price that you pay. The rules are extremely simple and I think they'll treat you well. If you are intermediate/advanced, I would say that the scale accounts are the way to go. Best value for what you pay. You can stack up larger payouts. And once again, the payouts with MFF, they have been pretty, and the payout speeds for these accounts as well. It goes for all accounts with the firm, but They are extremely fast. They advertise it as instant payouts. And from my experience, that's been pretty spot on. Like I said, if you are someone who has experience and has gotten payouts from other firms, I would not personally go with a core account just based on the fact that a $1,000 payout cap is not very exciting. However, with the scale accounts, you can definitely stack up a lot more in payouts and much quicker in my opinion. So I would keep that in mind if you are stuck between the core and the scale. Last but not least, for the pro accounts, if you are advanced and if you can swing the higher price tag, then I would definitely go with the pros. I personally have a tough time spending, $300-400 on a single eval, so I don't use the pros personally. But if that is not a factor for you, if you don't really care about the price tag in that sense, go with the pros. You will have the biggest payout potential of $100,000 per payout. But like I said, only if you know what you're doing, only if you've gotten payouts before, and if you're confident that you can keep doing that in the future, then go with the pro accounts. Last but not least are the pros and cons of MFF. So to start off, there's no Project X. The current options are limited to Tradeovate and TradingView. I understand that a lot of people like Project X. It just seems much cleaner. I personally use Tradeovate, so I have no issue with this, but if you are someone who's looking for that Project X or like that Top Step X feel, then MFF won't have that option, unfortunately. The only other thing that I could think of for this list is that you cannot copy trade 500K or 150K accounts. There are other firms such as Take Profit Trader that I personally use with 150K accounts, which I'm a massive fan of. And like I mentioned previously, you can only copy trade 5 accounts if you're using the 50K account sizes. So it's not ideal, but it's not a deal breaker in my opinion. Up until recently, I exclusively only use 50K accounts, so copy trading 5 of them, I think that gives you plenty of wiggle room and access to leverage. But if you are someone who likes to stack up the larger account sizes, then you need to keep this in mind. Last but not least are the pros. So MFF is one of those firms that you never really hear anyone bad mouthing. You never hear people complaining too much about them. They have extremely clear rules. They have great pricing, especially given the options and the flexibility that all those options have. No activation fees, obviously, that is always a plus. Great customer service. They have a Discord as well as a live chat on their website, which is extremely responsive. I personally like to go through the Discord. They always have, at least whenever I've checked it, they've always had like moderators responding to their questions. I've never waited more than like a couple minutes to hear back from somebody. So in my opinion, that's a massive pro to them. And once again, fast payouts. So they advertise it as instant payouts. Obviously, none of the money that you make from these prop firms is yours until it hits the bank account. So this is also a very good thing to keep in mind. Fast payouts, obviously, no one is going to complain about that. So taking all these things into consideration, MFF by far one of the best and highest rated firms for a reason. So hopefully this helped clear some things up. MFF is running a pretty insane promo right now. So if you are an existing user, if you buy an account of any size, you will get the second account 25% off. So for that second account, you'd be paying $58 for a core account, 50K. Once again, there are no activation fees and instant payouts on all of them. If you are a new user, this is a bit juicier. You get 50% off on any plan. Just keep in mind the 50% off for new users, that applies only to the first purchase. $39 for a 50K eval with no activation fee and $5,000 in payout caps. That might be the cheapest deal out right now on any prop firms. Like I said, if you're a beginner or if you're looking to try out a new firm, highly recommend MFF from my own experience as well as many of my friends who use them as well. I've never heard anyone have any issues. And once again, any questions or support that you need, they are extremely responsive on their website and in their Discord. So for those reasons combined, MFF is definitely in my top 5 for my favorite prop firms at the moment. Hopefully that it helped answer some of your questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.